Hey everybody, welcome to the Gedunk. I'm Josh.
I'm Billy.
And I'm Ashley.
And we're talking the season finale of Survivor.
42.
What a season, huh, Billy?
Yeah, well, I tell you, it was better.
Yeah, Billy.
Yeah.
Oh, are you here?
Oh, yeah. Hi. Hey, how you doing?
It was better than 41, I tell you that much. I did enjoy it more than 41.
Yeah?
For the most part, yeah.
All right, let's get into it. They're on a new beach.
Yeah. Back to square one, right? No net, no rice, no nada. You know, they got
They
to
don't
rebuild.
dwell on it too much, though.
No, they're like, well,
New beach, we don't have our crap. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's because they know they're like on the last couple days and
they
they're
like
done.
3
you know?
days, I think, left here. Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about it at that point either.
And Lindsay and Jonathan start getting into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Lindsay's like, what's the deal? I thought I was part of this group here.
And Jonathan says, you voted me out.
You voted for me.
Yeah.
But you didn't tell me about the Omer and but you voted for me.
But Omer was the one to set that up. You voted for me.
Yeah,
and of course she's lying about that because Omer didn't set that up. She did. She's been trying to get rid of him for like the past 4 weeks. So
it's probably like, a combination. But yeah, she's been gunning for Jonathan for a while.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, so she's trying
Which
to
I liked them teaming up early on, so it sucks that they kind of like had to get pitted against each other. But it was only natural considering they were pretty much the only competition for each other as far as all the
I think
competitions.
what she should have realized is no matter what at this point she was going to beat Jonathan. So she honestly should have just tried taking him to him with her. I mean, I would have teamed up with him and said, you know,
yeah, I don't think he beats her. So.
No, I don't either. So yeah, if she's smart, she'd have just teamed up with him and stayed team with him and tried to make it to him. But
I don't know. She let something get to her at the end where she just not care for him too much.
Well, she really, I mean, they say, like, he started out being very caring and, like, about his tribe and everything, but then he kind of came across very condescending, not listening to other people and, like, being very hard-headed, and that's when she kind of wrote him off, I think.
Yeah, I think that was Lindsay saying most of that, though. So,
right,
exactly. It's like, he's terrible to the women in the tribe. I'm like, well, he's hugging on them and stuff.
Yeah, congratulating, congratulates you.
He's
Sure.
He's nice and polite to them, but he doesn't value their input in the game, in the strategy of the game. And that's where she was kind of going with that, I think.
That might be true a little bit because he is tight with Mike, so...
Yeah.
Since we're all being honest here, I have an idol, and I'm using it in the next Bible, so at least I get to final four. If you guys want to vote me out after, that's fine.
Good for you, man. Good for you. You're playing your game.
And then old Romeo whips out the whole I got an idol, guys. FYI, I got an idol, and I plan on using it next week, so keep my name out of your mouth.
Don't vote for me.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what you don't realize, Romeo, is they're not going to vote you out because they all want to sit next to you. So you didn't need that. You didn't need that friggin'
He's still
BS
worried about that, but what did you think about that?
My name's always the second. I'm always a second fiddle. They always got my name second in case their person doesn't get voted out. You know, I'm just tired of it.
What's this?
What's this voice? Where did this voice come from?
So I'm trying to do like I don't know where that was came from. But anyway, and it's like, yeah, there's a reason for that, Romeo, because you've done nothing all season. So.
Interesting.
Oh man. Yeah, I found it kind of comical and stuff. I mean, he went out of his way to even create a fake idol like he needs it.
I'm proud of myself.
I think he thinks,
look what I got!
Somehow I think he does have this illusion that he thinks he's some kind of threat in the game.
He does. Yeah.
But
when he was absolutely nothing, like his threateningness, and even Roxroy brought it up at Tribal. He was like, "Dude, you've been kind of like under the radar the whole time." Was that your strategy?
Yeah, totally.
He's like, "You've done nothing. Were you planning on doing nothing the whole time?"
Well, they get
it worked, didn't it?
They get like a note sent to them, and they have to do a word scramble, just like last season, to find a reward. And Lindsay's like on top of it.
Oh, dude, she blows through that thing, man. Wow.
Yeah, she stands up and she's like, and then she runs.
And everybody else is like, where the hell's she going?
Did she just get some idea, an epiphany, and then she just darts away?
I wonder if you would have better luck just searching for it, because it's not that hidden.
Well, you can't. Remember, they said in order to search, you have to finish the puzzle first. So you can't go search until you finish it.
Yeah.
So
that's true. But I mean, I wish they would hide it a little bit better.
When these other clowns, 40 minutes, Lindsay gets to search, and they still couldn't figure out the puzzle.
Well, Marianne wasn't trying.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. She wanted Lindsay to find it.
She wasn't trying because she wanted Lindsay to find it, which at that point in time, I didn't really understand that. Yeah. But I guess...
I don't know if that's great strategy there. Yeah. Like, you could still go home at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you might need... I mean, she does have an idol, so I guess that's playing in the back of her mind.
Yeah,
So...
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
you
know.
can see everybody really trying, and then like you see Marianne looking at the camera. It's almost like an episode of The Office where like Jim looks at the camera in that weird like look.
Yeah, because she does that
She's
verse.
like-
She does that at Tribal
Mhm.
too. She's like, it's like- but the
It's
problem
like
with that
you
is
and I know
if no
that I
one
could have done
knows
this.
what you're
Yeah.
doing, it's hard to like own that though.
And she never really
Yeah.
told anybody
Because that
that's what
could
she
be
was
like
doing.
something she could
Yeah.
advocate for herself.
Right.
Like, hey,
Mhm.
oh, by the way, when you guys are trying to figure this out, I had it long figured out before you. I just
Right.
held it
Just
back.
keep my mouth shut. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, sure.
Exactly. Sure you did, Marianne. Yeah. That'd have been something that what's his name would have said. Freaking Romeo.
I had it figured out in 15
I
minutes.
knew.
Yeah. Oh man.
And then Lindsay finds it before they even figure it out.
Yeah.
And she's allegedly searching for it for like 40 plus minutes.
Yeah, she was surprised. That
So-
she's like, I'm still out here by myself looking. Like, there's no one else around. But
And she took like a while looking for it.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, she only has to untie one knot versus the rest of them is 6. That's reward going into the next challenge.
Yep.
Yep.
Do you think that was worth it?
Well,
A big advantage?
I
there?
think it would have been if Jonathan wasn't so good at untying knots. And that
That's
dude,
true.
you know, I mean, when
the
you're
first knot, Jonathan seemed to untie 6 before she could do the one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for Jonathan being in the equation, yeah, that's one hell of an advantage. But yeah, with Jonathan in there, man, he's blowing through those freaking things, those knots. I was like, yeah, it's not really gonna help her much.
Yeah. So, he did get to the puzzle first, but then she was like seconds behind him.
Mhm.
So,
No, I do love what Jonathan did on the puzzle, though.
So yeah, they
Loved
get
it.
to this immunity challenge. They also win pasta, if you
Whoever
will.
wins,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, and then Jonathan is just kind of blowing through it, and
Yeah.
Lindsay's doing pretty good too, though.
Mhm.
But she only has to untie the one knot.
yeah.
Yep.
But as we always know, the puzzle is the equalizer.
Always was on the
Yeah.
puzzle. So it didn't matter who's coming in dead last, man. If they can get in there and blow through that puzzle, they can actually turn around and win it.
Because Jonathan got there first, I think, followed by Lindsay, and the rest of them got there almost
Right.
like around close to the same time.
And we've already figured out at this point that Jonathan is not going to win a puzzle event. Like, dude just sucks at
No.
puzzles. So, you know,
He
so,
started off okay.
yeah. And then he, like, after about 4 pieces, and he's like, oh, yeah.
Do you know who did not do well was Romeo.
Oh, he did horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he only ever had like 3 pieces together at
Yeah.
any point in time.
The interesting part is like Jonathan's doing a lot of watching other people.
That's what I was
during
gonna say.
He
that.
I
does
love
that
it, dude.
in so
Yeah.
many competitions, especially when it comes to the puzzles. Like he's trying to get, I guess, insight from them, and I'm like,
No, at this point, he knew he wasn't going to win. So he just watching Mike cheering Mike
He was
on. Like,
watching
yeah,
Mike
brother,
a
yeah.
lot, but-
Mhm.
Because Lindsay even mentioned that. And Jonathan's so condescending and such an asshole. He was just watching
yeah,
Mike, you
she
know.
got really
Oh, she got
pissed
mad
off
about that.
that.
He just quit and just watched Mike.
I think he just knew he wasn't going to win. that.
Exactly. So at that point, he's just rooting for Mike.
But I
you
don't
know?
really understand it. Like, some people are like working the middle. I think like Romeo, like you got to work the outside edge first because you
Yeah.
can
Mhm.
see that it has like a curved edge to it. So that's an indicator it's the outside piece.
Exactly.
There's only so many
it's
of
like
them.
Now-
the edge pieces on a puzzle. You go,
Exactly.
you get the
But-
That's where you
framework.
start.
But when you
You
do
start
that,
in the middle of the puzzle.
But it's
because it's standing up,
flimsy.
well,
Yeah.
and because it's standing up, it's putting pressure down, so it makes it harder to put the middle
Yeah.
pieces in at that point. You know,
Well,
Yeah, I know,
So
but
that's the
once
flip
you
side.
get like half
At
of
least
it
the
up,
bottom
then you start
base.
working on
Yeah.
that.
Exactly.
And then there's less pieces to even kind of like,
Mhm.
worry about.
Yeah.
So
But I
So-
didn't like. There was at one point in time where I think Mike was trying to get like a middle piece in, and it was there. You could tell the piece went in there. He was just trying to get in, but it was
Mhm.
like kind of flimsy. And I'm like, it's there. I would put in another piece and try
Yeah.
to build,
Right. Just you already know that's the
and,
piece that goes
and
there.
then get the pieces in there, and then try to like push
the hard
them
piece in.
together.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Would that have worked? I don't know.
But either way, it worked
well,
out
it
for him.
becomes close because Lindsay
Oh, yeah.
and Mike are really
Well,
close.
because during
neck and
that
neck
part
here.
you were talking about is when Lindsay caught up. You know,
Yeah.
he's struggling that one part.
Yeah.
And that's what we gave her a chance to catch up. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
And then of course Mike pulls it out.
he does.
Oh yeah. And he gets the good Italian food.
Yep, and he can choose one person to come along with him.
hmm And again, he's like, same excuse y'all use. I'm going to choose the guy that hadn't eaten in a while, and this guy's lost like 40 pounds, and get on over here, Jonathan. And I was like, yeah.
Why can't he just go like, I've connected with this person,
Yeah,
and it's possibly my last final meal like this, so I'm
Mhm.
gonna choose my boy or whatever.
Yeah, because you can't do that, man.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
It's forbidden.
Can't do that. Can't do that in Survivor.
You don't get any points for
You
that.
gotta make
Yeah,
up
and
some
then,
BS.
but I love the whole like and Jeff's like, all right, you guys go get your pasta, and he's like, Jeff, one more.
Yeah.
Jeff's like,
He tried. He
no,
tried.
He did,
no,
he
no,
did.
not this
And
time.
Jeff's like, nope.
So I think Mike, when he chose, he really thought he was going to be able to bring somebody else, but
Uh-huh.
no. Would have been interesting to know who that person would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mike and Jonathan are enjoying their pasta, and Lindsay is just hating on Jonathan.
Oh, yeah, he freaking condescending. You just sat there and watched Mike the whole time.
I mean, she's just kind of complaining about him
these
the whole
voices,
time.
like-
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Said her, condescending. He just watched Mike. You know, said it like that.
I'm gonna need you to do an impersonation of me and an impersonation of John.
They're not very good, though, unfortunately.
I'm not trying to make him good.
You should hear his impersonation of me. It ain't great. No.
Yeah, man. Well, Mike kicked. I was happy. I was happy for Mike that he freaking finally, won that, and then I was real happy that Jonathan went to that, to that nice pasta dinner. That was cool.
So then they're talking about who's going home, and all votes seem to be going toward Lindsay at this point. And she kind of makes a final plea with Mike. Gives him the guilt trip.
Yeah, you told me that you were rooting for me and you want me with you and all this.
You said you liked me.
Yeah.
He's
I
like,
told you that.
but he is honest at times. He's like, I've kind of told everybody that. He's
We
like,
promised like 3 people this idol at this point.
He's
Like, I'm
like,
cool
I
with
know
all you
I
guys.
promised you. He's like,
I actually only promised one person. I said I'd think about it with this
You guys,
person,
yeah.
and maybe
Yeah.
I'd do it with you. So
He's like, I'd love to, but
But with Marianne,
because
I did promise her.
he also told Jonathan he has his back. Then he said, Lindsay, don't worry, I may use it on you. And then he actually swore to Marianne that he was going to use it on
Yeah,
her.
he swore to her first. But yeah, during the pasta dinner, Jonathan's like, "Hey, man, you got my back, brother?" He's like, "Yeah, I got you, man. Don't worry."
He's like, I'm not going to swear on it, but
don't you worry about
my
it.
word is my
You
bond.
just eat that pasta. Don't worry about it. Oh man.
So then, of course, they go to tribal.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you guys think of that?
I knew it was coming there. You knew Lindsay was gone. At that point, wasn't a doubt in my mind. Lindsay was the one going home.
Well, when it got to the conversations, all signs pointed that everybody's voting for Lindsay. It's now how the idols are going to be played.
Yeah.
And so after the vote, when Jeff asked who's going to play an idol.
Well, Romeo doesn't play his. I mean, he made that. That was like a weird transaction there because it's almost like he did that to say, see, I got some game.
That's
Look,
exactly
I fooled
right.
these people,
That's
and people
exactly
are
why he
like,
did
Yeah.
Like, yeah, whatever.
no one even cares.
Right.
Yeah. They weren't voting you out anyways. Like, who cares?
But Mike plays his idol for Marianne, and then you stare. The only thing I was waiting is Marianne going to play it for Lindsay.
I knew she wasn't going to.
And I was like, I knew that she shouldn't.
But I felt like she needed to do something here for the final to say,
could have
I'm
stood up
padding
and
my
at
resume
least
at this point.
she could have at least stood up and said that. However,
Got an idol, but I'm
in
not using
that moment was not the right time
Mhm.
because she still has to make it another week for someone to choose to take her, or in case she doesn't win. So I can see why she wouldn't in that moment. And when she did reveal
And I
it when
actually
she needed
think
to.
Lindsay going out would be very good for Marianne at this
Oh,
point.
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's why she didn't use it, and I'm
Yeah,
glad
knew
she
that.
didn't.
Yeah, she was
One,
smart enough to know
because
that.
I think the jury likes her, and 2, she is very good at competitions as well. So
Yeah, now Marianne was smart enough to realize, she even said, look, my heart tells me keep Lindsay. She's like, but my gut and my brain's telling me get rid of her because she's like my biggest competition.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I think that was a really smart move because,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the whispers in the jury were I think all the votes would have gone towards Lindsay, or the majority of them.
yeah, I think it was high. It was it was either him or Omer that was like, oh, I really
I'm
like
sad,
her.
yeah,
And
really
I was
liked her. I'm
hmm.
sad to see that happen. Or yeah, so
Yeah, and the focus is kind of on Lindsay, and she tries to downplay how good she's been, and then
Right.
Jonathan speaks up a little bit, no, people
No, you're
love
pretty
you,
good.
and all
Yeah.
this,
Right.
so-
yeah, because my
You're
social game wasn't that
well-liked.
great.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you had a great social game. Your friends there, buddy. Everybody loved you. So,
it's funny how in the game you ride this roller coaster of you want to tout why you're a good person to keep, but then say, oh, I'm a crappy person at this game.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
You're
You got a
Right.
final 3 coming up pretty soon. You're kind of downplaying yourself now,
Yeah.
and then later on you're going to spin it the other direction.
Right,
right,
so.
exactly.
back up. And that was my strategy. I downplayed myself there. Yeah, exactly.
I'm weak. You should
I mean,
take
that was
me.
Romeo's
It'll be
strategy,
fine.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then everyone voted Lindsay off. I mean, she's the only person I think that voted for Jonathan there. So
Yeah.
Right.
it was-
Yeah, she was toast.
And then she gets the boot.
We're down to the.
And then they jump right into the next challenge. There wasn't any dwell time really at all there, which kind of
Yeah.
surprised me.
Well, and I guess you really didn't need any dwell time because of what the challenge was, right? I mean, it's not like they had to set anything up really. They just had them, these big spinny things sitting there and
yeah, well, they know
spinny things. Yeah.
they
Spinny
normally
things.
talk about what just happened though and what it means and stuff like that, but they didn't get into any of that.
Mhm.
They just essentially go right to the next challenge as far as the show goes.
Yeah.
And I like this challenge because it's
Yeah, it's
it's
good.
kind of like a chill endurance challenge, and you got to keep your mind in the game on this
Oh,
one.
dude, it is definitely a mind game on this one
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, you're constantly, you got to remember left, right, left, right, left, right. If you screw that up and go right, right, you're done. So
Did they do this one last year? I know they've done this one several times before,
yeah,
but
they didn't do this in the
No?
41. No. Yeah.
so they're like putting balls into a little spiral thing, and
I don't remember them doing it in 41.
and then they
You
have
gotta
to
catch it.
like over time put more balls, and they get diverted. So that's pretty cool. And they got to remember to go to the right one, left one, and then old Mike screws up like when they're almost like in the test phase of this.
Yeah, the
just
first
get
ball.
comfortable.
Yeah, Jeff says
First
that.
ball.
He's like, we're kind of in the warm up phase. And Mike he's like, I caught the ball. It just like it slipped out of my hands. Like I caught it. And Jeff's like, you dropped the ball.
dropped it,
man.
dude.
Get out."
Yeah, he's like,
You're toast.
I don't even know if we're really playing, but you're done.
And Mike is just standing there in disbelief.
he's so mad at himself.
He's like, I can't.
Rightfully so. He should be
Yeah.
at that point. I was
And then
like, oh.
Marianne's not out too far after that. Like as soon as they go to the two balls,
Yeah.
she drops off. And so now it's between
I
Romeo
was sad to see her
and
go out on
Jonathan.
that too.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping this would go on for a while, but not so much.
Yeah, and then
Mike dropped the ball, man.
That's right. He screwed up
Literally.
everybody right off the bat. And then we down to Romeo and Jonathan, and surprisingly, Jonathan dropped his ball and Romeo pulled it off. I was
Yeah.
like, wow. I was like, well, I guess if there's one event Romeo's going to win. I guess why
Yeah.
not this one?
What sucks is that people literally just carried him this whole game just to carry the weak person to the end, to be that person like, okay, I don't have to worry about beating him. And now the fate of everybody's game is in his hands. He's the one who gets to decide who goes to the end.
He
And that's
finally
kind of,
did it for the skinny guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
So that was kind of,
And
bittersweet.
for the girls.
so-
for his girls.
It's very interesting that he has all this power, even though he's been kind of like.
And it gets to him. He gets back. He's like, I'm just going to sit back here and let everybody come talk to me. Yeah.
He's like, Marianne, why don't you grab a leaf over there and come fan me?
Yeah.
And Mike comes to him and tries
Yeah.
to convince him, and he's like, "Hey, I got no animosity against you, no ill will," and then tries to make his pitch, but
Well, and he told him, he's like, look, I know I'm going to the fire. He's like, rightfully so. He's like, you should choose me to go to the fire. Which is what happened. So, and Mike wasn't trying to bullshit him, I guess. He just, flat out told him, hey, I'm just trying to help you here. He's like, I already know I'm going to the fire. I'm just trying to help you play the best game you can. And I thought the advice Mike was giving him was good advice. So, yeah.
yeah, I mean, when it came time for tribal, it didn't seem like anyone was surprised as to what his decision was,
Right.
Because I mean, Mike essentially like lays it out before Romeo even says what his plan is.
Right.
So you feel like it's you and Jonathan. That's what I heard.
And that's exactly what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time they're sitting there, you got the two like fire building stations, and both Mike and Jonathan are like, okay, what do we have? Like,
Yeah.
what do I have
But
to build
Jonathan's
this
like
fire?
just staring at it, and then the camera goes
He's
off.
like,
to
I
look
know
at
I'm
it.
gonna have to go over there in a minute, so I just want to like get a pre-assessment of it.
But the funny thing is, Romeo never once played the crowd. Like, look at the crowd, dude. Look at who's on the jury. Then decide who you're going to have make fire. 'Cause at that point, he really should have chosen Marianne to make fire because in reality, she was the biggest threat. And he should have known that. But but he wasn't winning anyway. I
Yeah,
guess.
I don't think
he
Romeo could
was-
have beat
there was
any
no
of
way
the
he was
people
gonna win
left
anyway,
at this
but-
point.
Yeah, no, he couldn't have. But yeah,
But it was
he wasn't
interesting
smart
to
as you.
see Mike and Jonathan do the fire duel, though.
Dude,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, yeah.
Especially because everybody's been talking about how Jonathan
Starts all the fires.
so easily makes fires the entire time.
Yeah, and then they show it, and he does it in a couple strikes, and then but we
Mhm.
got the firefighter who should know something about fire, right?
Yeah,
And just
knows
because
how
he
to
knows
put 'em
how to put them out doesn't mean he knows how to make them.
That's right. But he proved everybody wrong there.
Yeah.
This dude had a blaze going, man. He got like a
did.
5 o'clock alarm. Freaking gonna come in.
I
The
was
fire
worried
truck's not
though
coming to put
because
that thing out.
his flame kept going towards Jonathan and not like going up. So I was like, okay, he has this big fire, but it's not hitting his rope, so
Yeah.
like it's not doing him any good.
So
and
he's
I'm
like, I'll just keep
how's
making
he-
it bigger until it does.
Yeah.
I mean, Jonathan was struggling to get it started, so
And then he was just
Mike
looking
got
at,
a big head start
oh
on
yeah,
it.
and then at that point, Jonathan just looking at Mike saying, "Oh," he's like, "Oh wow."
and then
results.
that's what Jonathan does. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, somebody else is doing something. Like
Yeah,
instead
yeah.
of focusing on what
I was a
he
little
should be
surprised
doing.
too because Mike was it seemed like no rhyme or reason, and Jeff even calls it out. He's just piling stuff
Yeah.
on, and I
Oh,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, well, this is probably going to fizzle out at some point. Maybe he's going to
Mhm.
smother it or something like that, but it worked
And you've
out for
seen
him.
that. I don't know if it was last season or a season that you've seen that you've seen a fire be like almost tall enough to hit the rope,
It happened last
and then
season.
it just like goes out completely,
me.
and it's
Bless
like,
you.
wow.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that happened last season. Yeah,
Yeah.
but not to Mike, man. They had that damn thing going. I was like, holy cow, that guy's got fire.
Yeah.
That was nuts, man. And especially just a little amount of crap that you get to build it, man. He's got like twigs and shit, and he's got a freaking, he's got like a bonfire going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Like, wow.
Mike brought down Goliath.
Yeah, he did. Get
Finally.
on him, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Which is good to see. And now we're with the final three. We got Romeo, Marianne, and Mike. What do you think about that final three?
At that point, I knew who was going to win. There was no ifs, ands, or buts in my mind who the jury was going to vote for at that point. Even though Mike, well, number one, Mike wasn't articulate as much as Marianne was, I don't think, even though he had he played a much better game than she did. But I think, well, number one, it was all minorities in the final three. It wasn't any white people, right? It was a Puerto Rican, a Mexican, and a black girl. You know, so you had the female and African American angle. You had Puerto Rican and Mexican, a gay Mexican at that. So you kind of had like the whole gamut there in those three people there. So it was a diverse final three with no whites.
Yeah.
But with that being said, you had the one.
I don't know.
With that being said, you had
put it that way, but
with that being said, you had the one female with two dudes, you know, and you had four females. You got four females in the jury. What is what it is? No white people.
Okay.
So you have four females in the jury, three black people in the jury. You got a gay guy with a feminist shirt in the jury. So at this point, it's like, okay, who's going to win this? I wonder. And it doesn't matter.
Billy's got the ethnic breakdown.
That's right.
it was a very diverse cast.
Yeah, it
So
was.
to be honest with you, the chances of it being a diverse final three was pretty
good. Yeah.
Pretty good.
And
So
it was.
Well, we know for sure Romeo's probably not going to win
Oh,
this.
no
So
way,
it's
dude.
it's
No way.
essentially between Marianne and Mike at this
Exactly.
point. So what do you think about their final arguments?
Like I said, I thought Marianne, for the little bit that she did in the game, I mean, her move was a big move, taking Omer out because he was the biggest threat and everybody knew it. And I thought she articulated it very well. So I thought she did a good job talking her way through, you know, how she did what she did. And I was like, okay, kudos, Marianne, because that was a good explanation there. So I did appreciate that. I mean, Mike didn't do as good a job, even though he did more stuff than Marianne did. I didn't think he did a good job talking through it as she did. And then, of course, Romeo, and I just toned that guy out.
He didn't
I thought it was funny that they were trying to talk up Romeo a little bit. And like you
Yeah.
said, Roxroy was kind of like, that was your strategy, laying low and doing this and then striking at the end kind of deal.
trying
And
to throw him a
like,
bone.
The
I
strategy,
think.
just sitting
Yeah.
there eating rice all the time. And
they just didn't want to put him down the whole time.
right,
And
Yeah.
what did you think about Tori like psychoanalyzing all three of them to begin with? And she's kind of like spot on for the most
Yeah,
part.
she was. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. One, I like how they all responded to it. I like that Marianne was articulate. She was articulate about, there was one thing that she could have mentioned that she didn't mention. And I had it in my head and I tried not to say it early on in the episode, but I've forgotten. But she did bring up when she needed to bring up that idol.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because like you said, why didn't she say it tribal? You know, I could have saved you, or I have an idol, but I'm not going to use it, you know.
Mhm.
And I think at that point in time was not the time to say it, because that does put you in some kind of position leading into the next week.
Right.
Or the next, you know, immunity or whatever. But she does mention it at this point. She's like, look, I've had this, I kept it a secret. She's the only one that kept a secret
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
the entire season. Like every time someone got an advantage or something, they told somebody about it.
I will give the idol to her, but I don't think that is a strong move by any sense. You found an idol, okay. You didn't do anything with it. Like you kept it in your back pocket. Like I would have
She
liked to
didn't
seen
need
you
to do anything
utilize
with
that
it
at some
because
point.
she was able to get Mike
Mike
to
to use it on her.
to use hers. You know,
Yeah, but
his on her.
if she would have used that instead of Mike, what would that change?
Well, one of the things too,
Well,
Mike.
it could have she could have needed it.
What Mike should have did was like, no, you didn't get me to use that on you. I offered to use it on you so I could use you the way I needed to use you this vote, which is exactly what happened. And Mike should have spun that around on her and said, no,
yeah, he
Yeah.
should have.
because that's what really happened.
But he
Mike
didn't.
No, he didn't.
He didn't.
But I think if you're in the jury, you shouldn't probably, at least me, I wouldn't count on what everyone says because I can see with my own eyes what has happened here, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to get the best person who deserves to win Survivor and get my vote. So I mean, I think what people say is important, but it's not the end
Not
all
the end
be
all
all
be
for
all.
me.
Well, and the thing is too, Marianne never won a single event, not one. I mean, even Romeo won an event. Marianne never won a single event. Marianne even admitted that she would just like slopping her way through like the first half of the game before she finally started realizing, okay, I know how to play a little bit now. Let me make a little bit of move and get rid of Omer here.
And I
So-
think that's what sucks because Mike was in the mix a lot,
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
and you put
And-
yourself out there more when you're in the mix.
And even the jury said
Yeah.
that. The
Yeah,
jury
he
mentioned
put
that.
himself in the line of
You know?
fire a lot more than she did,
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
So that's why if I was voting, I would have voted for Mike because I think
Absolutely.
he did more. I do recognize that Mary Ann did things with Omer and she played some smart things and keeping the idol quiet was a real smart move. But I just think Mike put himself out there more and was more involved with who's going home week to
Mhm.
week than like Mary
But I
Ann.
also think Marianne, like, she aligned herself with who she needed to align herself with week to week.
So did Mike.
She definitely didn't rub people the wrong way, which
Right.
is
No.
smart.
Well, except
I mean, at one point she was rubbing
In-
Jonathan the wrong way.
in the
a little
beginning,
bit.
yeah, that's how wacky she was being all the time.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked the way she articulated what she did.
Yeah,
There was
she did.
one other thing, wish I could remember, but I can't, that I wish she had brought up, but she did. I don't know. I think she deserved to win.
I think she has a better backstory than
Yeah.
Mike as
Oh, no,
far
the
as
backstory's
like
great.
selling.
She
like,
also didn't. You
you
also
know, I need the money more than you
forget
kind
that
of do.
she was given those opportunities when they go up and risk their vote or don't risk their vote. Like, what are those? What are they called when they get on the boat and they go climb up the hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was given that opportunity earlier. So she was given opportunities to play. The whole saying the phrase with the weird phrase she had to say 3 or 4 different times. She worked that in there, and that's awkward. I'm a
Prisoner's
butterfly in a
dilemma thing.
mailbox or
Yeah,
something
she did
like,
say
you
that.
know.
Yeah.
So I mean, all those things were things that puts her out there and makes her somewhat vulnerable. But those were things and strategies that she used to play in the game.
Yeah, I still think Mike deserved to win more. Mike had a better social game. Mike won events. You know, Mike orchestrated a lot more than she did. I mean, she did orchestrate the biggest backstab in the game. I'll give her that for getting rid of Omer, the biggest threat.
Yeah,
Well,
and to me-
according to Jonathan, she didn't orchestrate it.
Well,
she
well, Jonathan was right because Jonathan did talk to her about
That's
it. So-
true.
Yeah.
So really, she didn't orchestrate it, but she was.
I do give her
She's
credit
the
for
one that
doing
But she
carried
did
it
make
out.
because
happen.
Mike
But
was
she did.
trying to push for I forget who at the time, but he's pushing for someone else, and she's like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kudos to her for that.
She's the one who got it tapped.
Yeah, she's the one who got it
Yeah.
to happen, exactly. So I give her credit for that. But Mike got a hell of a lot more done than she did overall, and he had a better social game than she did overall because he was in the mix the whole time. I think Mike deserved to win. But I'm not upset Marianne won. I mean, kudos to her. She sure as hell deserved it a hell lot better than Romeo did. So
Well, and it seemed the other thing is Mike didn't really, as far as the social game, he didn't read the jury very well because it seemed to me the jury was fishing for him to say, "Yeah, I know I gave you my
Yeah.
word a couple times that I had to go back on it. That's
Yeah.
the game."
Yeah.
They really wanted him to own that he betrayed a couple
A
people.
lot of people were hung up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they were.
And they were
Because that
it
was
almost
him.
like they rested their vote on like if this guy acknowledges it, maybe he'll
Right.
get my vote. If he
Right.
doesn't, then forget about it.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that was
And he finally did, but it was like too little, too late.
Yeah.
Because finally he's like, well, look, if I said some lies and stuff, sure, but
Like,
I only did what I
he
thought I
tied
had
it
to
to
do.
Roxroy a lot
yeah.
instead.
And they're like, "You betrayed us." Like, "Hello, you betrayed me. You betrayed me. You lied to me. You lied to me." And he's like, "No, it's just Roxroy
and
that I
him
lied
and
to."
High were tight at one point, so he
Yeah.
should acknowledge that more.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that was his downfall is because
He did
I
not-
don't
he
think
did not
anyone
articulate
really
well.
would have cared so much if he didn't tout his word is his bond so much to his game. And that was like, he was like, "I'm playing with integrity. I'm not like, if I say something to you, you know that's true."
Right, exactly.
And then it wasn't the case
Yeah.
to a lot of people.
Well, it was at first for a while, and then
for a while,
and
but
then
then
it wasn't
and
anymore.
it can't. I mean, it's
But
hard.
it
It's
can't be
tough.
forever, right? I mean,
Right.
there's no way you can keep your word to
But
everybody.
he wouldn't
so-
own that part
yeah.
of it, and I think
But I
they
do
really
think
wanted
he played
him to do
pretty
that.
honorable considering.
No, he
though.
did.
He did.
He did.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a game,
And
like,
I think you
have
could
to-
probably tell when
Yeah.
he's lying to
Yeah.
you because of the way he is when he is telling the truth to
Oh,
you.
yeah.
because he is a pretty honorable
Yeah,
guy.
and if you
I get
keep
it,
saying like,
but-
"Hey, do you swear on it?" and if he's shady about that, he's probably getting ready to betray you.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well,
I'm gonna think real hard about it.
but I mean, I thought the way he handled Marianne winning was cool. He's like, "Hey, man, because Jeff's like, so what do you think about this?" Mike's like, "You know what, man?" He's like, I've got a good fiance who has a good job. I've got a good job. He's like, "I don't really need $1 million." He's like,
Being a runner-up gets a pretty
He was
decent
like,
amount of
yeah,
money
runner-up
too.
does get
he
some
was
money,
like,
so-
he was like, "Well, Marianne, I know that money's going to good use, so I'm glad she won." He's like, "Kudos
Yeah.
to her," So
I
that's
loved
good.
her attitude, her weirdness. I mean, she was
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
she was
Mhm.
exciting to watch, especially
She was.
early on
yeah.
with her energy and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, no
So-
doubt.
I
No,
could
mean,
see
she's
how
good.
they were annoyed with her at first.
Oh, for
Oh,
sure.
dude, no
But
doubt.
she also did tone it down a little bit, or
Yeah.
at least
Well, at least what they
Eventually-
what they
portray.
eventually
edited,
she did,
yeah. So I think she kind of picked up on that. So I don't know. I think she had a great game. I think she's a good person, and
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think she was well liked by everybody, which is why she won.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It was kind of weird too, like when they were interviewing people and everyone's shoving their mouth full of food, like in the end. I was like, this is an interesting way to
Yeah.
do this, but
They're like, well,
I could see the people on the show because they're hungry, but the people
The
who are on the jury,
jurors,
I'm like, you've probably been fed pretty good.
Right.
I know you just had a steak dinner last night. You're in the hotel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jonathan looked like he was still wearing
Yeah.
like jungle clothes.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
Like,
thought
I
it
was
was
like,
like his shirt's all ripped. Everyone else looks all
Yeah.
nice.
Right.
Like Drea looks all nice and stuff like that. So I was like,
Uh-huh.
what's going on with Jonathan here?
He didn't care,
he
man.
just wears caveman clothes all the time. That's just
And well, that's his living. He owns a freaking beach company, right? So
Yeah,
that's,
that's true.
That's
Yeah.
probably his everyday wear right there,
yeah.
you know?
He didn't look
So-
much different. I'm like, okay, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe he doesn't have dirt under his nails now. I don't know, but he looks the same. Everybody else comes out in makeup, all glistening, and I
Yeah.
was like, huh.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it was good. Like I said, I mean, I think Mike deserved it, but, you know, whatever. Marianne won and good on her. You know, I'm not necessarily against her winning, so.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this final three kind of stuff. But I mean, if it was like Romeo versus someone, I guess that's the reason why they do it, because
Right.
then it wouldn't amount to much at that point. But I don't know. I just feel like the jury has too much of a say. I mean, obviously they
Well,
have
they do.
all of the
They have all the
say,
say, yeah.
but I really would like a competition to somewhat be a part of it as well.
Well, and that's the whole thing.
Maybe you get an extra vote.
you
Maybe in a
have
competition, you
something.
get an extra vote towards you or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
maybe. But
Yeah.
that's kind of the whole thing with Survivor, right? Is that you have
You
to
got to play the social game, manage the jury.
Right, you have to manage the jury votes, like
Mhm.
knowing you've got to be responsible to get people out, but at the same point in time, hope that that person eventually votes for you to win the game. So,
Yeah.
you know, you got to balance that somehow.
I thought it was poor taste
Poor
of
taste? Poor
poor
choice.
taste of High showing up with the feminism
Oh, so
shirt
did I.
with.
Yeah, I don't know
Marianne
why he
out
chose
there
to wear
like
that
that.
shirt to
No,
the.
no.
That,
That was
I
very
mean,
poor
he
taste.
says that's not influences his vote, even though his vote went there. So you never really know, but it's I think important.
No, it's
taste,
totally
so.
poor taste. Absolutely.
When you've got one female and two males, yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't understand the reason behind that.
No.
He's probably
You
just
could've
trying
worn
to
that
make
the night
he's probably
before,
trying to
like-
make a statement or something. But
Yeah,
I wouldn't wear that to
the
the
night
show.
before,
Like
That's not the
not,
right place
not
to
on
do it,
not on voting night.
Yeah, yeah.
You
We're,
know
yeah,
what
like I
I
said,
mean?
wear
Like-
that on the night before or the,
Right.
you know, for the.
the fact that you had to say something shows you shouldn't have worn it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you
Exactly.
probably realized it. So I
Yeah.
just want you to know this did not influence my vote.
Mhm. Like, sure, it didn't.
So,
All right, guys, you got any final thoughts before we wrap up this season of Survivor
Yeah.
season 42?
no. I want to go first. I have a final thought.
No, you don't. No.
Yeah.
No.
My final thought is congratulations, Marianne.
yep.
I think you had a great game, and I think you deserve to win.
Marianne, I don't think you necessarily deserve to win over Mike, but you did have a good game, and I'm proud of you. So great job with that, and definitely a better season than last season. So I did enjoy watching this
Yep,
one better
that's
than
true.
41. And yeah, hell, who knows what the next season's going to be like? Hopefully
And
better
it-
than this one. So,
And to recap, I would like to see Lindsay come back.
yeah,
Lindsay.
I'd like to
some
see.
kind of all-star.
I'd like to see Jonathan.
I'd like to see Jonathan back too. Yeah, maybe Mike.
I'd like to
Yeah.
see like a season of Comp Beast.
Exactly.
And just go
Oh, yeah,
crazy
dude.
with it.
You know what would
That
be
would be
really
awesome.
cool is if
That'd be
they
awesome.
brought Lindsay and Jonathan back, but some kind of
Handcuffed
twist
them
they
together.
had to work together.
Three-legged race.
That
They
might
were
be cool.
handcuffed the whole time or something
Yeah,
like that.
that
That
might
would
be
be
cool.
cool.
Yeah, no, a Comp Beast freaking series, that'd be good, dude. That'd be really good. Yeah.
But yeah, I raised my glass to Marianne. Unfortunately, I don't have anything left in it, but I toast to you
Same.
Yeah, good on you, Marianne.
for winning Survivor, the underdog essentially in this, right?
Yeah.
definitely
I don't
one of
think
the underdogs,
anyone
sure.
suspected her of winning. Probably like halfway through. So
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. But there you have it. She did. So hey guys, appreciate you watching. And if you like what we had to say here, hit like and subscribe. Even if you didn't like what we had to say, hit like and subscribe anyway. But please tell us what you thought about the show. Let us know your thoughts on future shows. Hell, and like the Compies idea is awesome, dude. I would freaking love to see that. And again, hey, congrats, Marianne. Great job. And we will check you guys at our next show.
see you guys.
See ya.
How's that? Like, he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Doesn't know.
Doing all the cross analysis.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god.
Gotta break it down. Gotta break-
Please, that make it such a big deal.
No.
There you go.
All right, let's do it.
Oh boy, I'm back.
Like, oh, time to get crazy. Time to get crazy, baby. On the Gedunk. Oh, yeah. I knew it. Get out!
Jesus. He screams all the time now.
Not as much. He's calmed down. He's toned down some.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Gedunk.
He's Josh.
I'm Josh.
That was very low energy.
It was.
Hey everybody.
You need to get a good sip of that
Welcome.
nitro, man. You need to get a sip of that nitro there.
We're here. You're
get a
here.
little nitro up in
I
you.
guess we'll talk.
Oh, man.
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. Is it Gedunk worthy? Oh, we got 180? What? We're at 180. Yes, sir.